What's up, you guys? So making a kind of a different video than normal here. Right now you're gonna kind of see this as well as the screen recording from my iPad, which is what I was flying with at the time. So this is about the time I almost lost or crashed my Mavic Mini. Definitely like the scariest day I've ever flown. I wish I could say it was ignorance, you know, just me being stupid, but at the same time, I'm not really sure. So I'll get into that, you know, when it happens in the video, of what I think might actually happen. But so we're in that, you know, quarantine stuff right now, you know, the stay-at-home order, even though the stay-at-home order means just basically bars, nail salon, tanning salon, tattoo places, and like clothing stores, you know, for instance, Kohl's right here that you're looking at. Like, that's what's closed. You're still allowed to leave. You're still allowed to go places. You're still allowed to, you know, walk around, which is kind of crazy to me, but that's irrelevant. So anyways, we were going down to Toledo for the day, to visit Angry Grandma. If you haven't heard of her, go check out her channel. That's really good stuff. So I wanted to, at our local mall in Monroe, I went and flew around like a couple nights beforehand and got some, you know, kind of cool eerie shots of it being like, you know, empty, you know, just because it's closed for, you know, the time being. And the mall, like, it's a really piss poor mall. It's really unimpressive. It's on its last legs. It doesn't look like much anyways on a normal day. So I was like, you know what? When we go down to Toledo next, I'm going to go to the Franklin Park Mall, which is normally really busy. At least, you know, in my eyes, because I'm not from the area. So the traffic in that mall is a lot more than I'm used to at, you know, my local mall. But I wanted to go down here, get some cool shots of it, you know, why it's abandoned and there's nobody around. So I'm not, you know, I'm not like in contact with people, you know what I mean? Like I've left the house, I'm out in public, but I'm not, you know, in contact with people or, you know, just hanging out or whatever. There was little to no wind. I've got a UAV forecast app, and it shows you kind of like the wind, you know, the wind direction, the weather, you know, how many satellites you can link to right now, like GPS and whatnot. So it's been pretty accurate for me. I use it just about every time I fly just to see, because you can adjust the altitude of like wind at ground level and wind up in the air. And up in the air, it's always going to be way more, or, you know, it's always going to be stronger up in there. I'm not going to say way more, but, you know, what you feel on the ground is nothing. You know, if it's slightly windy on the ground, it's probably pretty windy up there, because on the ground, you got all the buildings and trees, you know, deflecting the wind and whatnot. When you're up in the air, it's just, you know, you're just getting the wind as it is. So the higher you fly, the more windy it is. And when you got a Mavic Mini, you got to be really conscious about the wind, because it is tiny, it is super light, and it doesn't do wind very good. Now, I've had mine out in about probably 8 to 10 mile an hour wind before, even a little bit higher, and knock on wood, I've never had a problem with it. You know, I've never had a scare. I had it one time pop up and say, you know, the max motor speed reached, but I was actually trying to climb, and it, you know, just wasn't really climbing. You know, it wasn't like I was in danger of losing it and it was falling out of the sky or anything like that. So I just dropped it down a little bit. Everything was good. But, so I am up on the parking garage, if you can see that one little blue car. And, you know, I took off from up there. So I basically, I went up there because, you know, that's going to give me the highest point. So I was hoping to get like a wraparound of the whole mall. But as you might have saw a little bit ago, it said there was a problem with the controller with the signal. And then I believe it says it up here in a little bit again. I don't know if that was because like it was kind of foggy. As you can see, if you look around, it's kind of foggy. I don't know if, you know, the water vapor in the air kind of messed with it or something, but I definitely was not getting the range that I normally do. I've flown way farther than, you know, 1,000 feet before, 1,000 feet out, and, you know, had signal. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I was just kind of flying. I just wanted to kind of get like a cool, smooth wraparound and kind of like be able to speed it up a little bit, but I'm not a pro at, you know, the smooth maneuvers yet, so I'm trying to still get that, you know, that joystick combination down of like, yep, see right there, it says aircraft signal invalid. But I'm trying to get that, you know, like smooth panoramic motion down still. But when I seen that, I was like, okay, I assumed because of this building was a little bit taller right here, I was like, I'm behind it, but I thought it was high enough to where it wouldn't affect it. So that might have been user error for sure. I'll take that blame. But I knew it right away, so I started flying it in. Also, my return to home, the fail-safe return to home, I always adjust the altitude every time I fly it, if needed. Excuse me. I always adjust the altitude if needed for the environment I'm flying in. If I'm flying in a spot where it's really low, I don't need it to go to 200 feet in the air before it returns home. If I'm flying from the ground and there's lots of buildings and trees and power lines, then I want to make sure it's going up and above all that. But so anyways, it just flew right past me. It's like right over the parking garage right now. I'm going a little bit out. I was just getting some random shots, I wasn't trying to get like one smooth shot the whole time. But I think here I was going to go from the other side of the building. And then you see that the gimbal just kind of did this weird like jerky thing. That is one thing I've noticed about this. I don't know if it's an issue with my drone alone, but a lot of times when I'm flying it, like I'll get that, like it's usually not when I'm just hovering or like slowly moving. It'll be when I'm flying, and I'm going like full speed. The gimbal will just go just out of nowhere for no reason. I'm not adjusting anything. It just shoots over like to the left and then goes back, and it's perfectly fine. Scares the hell out of me every time it does it. Usually a gimbal calibration when I land it will solve the issue for a few flights, and then it'll start doing it again. So I don't know if it's just something I need to do before every flight now or what. So yeah, here I put it in Cinesmooth, and I was gonna go kind of pan around again. But anyways, so my battery's still at 68% here, which is still pretty high to me. And then see right there, I've got a direct line of where I was at, and then it cuts out. Actually, no, I lied. So if you see, this is where I moved. I apologize. I didn't have a direct line. So if you see those two little, like towards what you're looking at right now, if you look to the right of the parking garage, there's two structures. It's like a staircase. I was actually standing between those, but I was kind of far back. So I think what had happened, obviously, was I'm standing here with the remote, and here's a building, and it, flew past it. But, so I moved back a little bit, and everything came back to normal. And I'll kind of speed up through this video, and I'll speed around the parts that nothing's really going on. So here I know coming up is where I'm about to lose signal again. And this was another kind of BS loss in my opinion. Right now I'm 1,300 feet away. But you can see me, if you look towards, yep, right here. If you can see me where the parking garage is at, I'm standing all the way, like as close as I can on, this wall facing this way with a completely clear shot of the drone. So I don't know what the deal with the signal is. 1,500 feet, I mean, that's not even like, I guess maybe not even a third of a mile. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm remembering the specs wrong, but I believe it was way longer than that, range-wise. And I know, personally, from experience, I have flown way farther than that. So it was automatically returning to home here. And, yeah, see, like, even the signal still was just totally spotty, even though, like, it was getting closer to me, which made no sense. But I was just going to let it return to home because I was like, obviously something's going on right now and at least in this direction. Maybe one of these buildings has a lot of Wi-Fi interference or something like that. So I didn't know, but I was like, I've never actually let this thing return to home. I've never actually hit the button. So I was just kind of curious. I was like, I'm going to let it happen, see what it does. See if it's, pretty accurate. cool. I want to watch it, actually see if it returns. Man, that beeping is so annoying.
Landing.
Yep, it's dropping down. Now see what I should have did here. Knowing that my battery was at 52%, I should have just swapped it out real quick because I got 3 of them. I knew I wasn't flying anymore later in the day, so what I should have done is just let it land, swap the battery out, and then go do this shot that I'm about to do. But unfortunately, I didn't do that. So this gives you a good perspective of where I was the whole time. So in this shot, I'm kind of, yep, there I am. I wanted to kind of practice, like, see if I can get a cool shot, like going down this road. It really didn't come out as cool as I was hoping. Because of the angle of the road, like it was hard to kind of like match it with the drone. So you're kind of flying like this, then having to lower it. It would have been cool, but again, I'm not great at the cinematic shots yet. Another thing I want to do too, I wanted to reverse it and go through here and then, you know, pop back up on the outside and come up, but I was like, nah, I don't want to risk it again. And I wanted the same shot coming up, but I didn't want to be in it. So you can see where it gets, you know, kind of glitchy, and it was smooth, obviously, in the drone footage, but, you know, in this controller, you know, sending through Wi-Fi, that big concrete wall right there kind of blocked the signal, made it a little bit choppy. It wasn't bad, but made it a little bit choppy for a minute. And I thought this was kind of cool, like flying up and then going right off the building. That, for some reason, like going from being, you know, 5 or 6 foot up to just, you know, being over the parking lot, like those made me so nervous, like flying over that ledge, as if the drone was like gonna get over there and then just drop or something. But again, so right here, now you see I'm at 41%, and I wanted to go out. I still hadn't gotten any pictures of the mall yet, so I wanted to go out and see, the thing with this mall, with our mall, my whole mall would fit in this picture right here, like where I've got with most of the parking lot. This mall, you got to get way far out there to get a picture. And truthfully, what I should have done is just drive, you know, land the drone, drive out to one of the corners of the parking lot like I did at my mall, and then fly from right there. So it, you know, never really went more than like probably 50 foot back or something like that. And I knew it was right there, but instead I wanted to be lazy. I mean, I guess not be lazy, but just the most convenient way was just to stay where I was at, get the shot, and then bring it back in. So the parking garage is, if you're kind of lost where it's at, the parking garage is like a little bit to the right now. You can see it, obviously. Just look for that curved road, that slanted road, that entrance or whatever. I don't really know what I was going for, going with this sideways shot, but I should have just went straight. But now you see I'm at 35%. So in my eyes, like, definitely if I'm under, like, if I'm at or under 40% now, I am not gonna fly it away from me. Like I'll continue to fly if I'm in, you know, my general zone, like of somewhere where I could, like, you know, run to it, for instance. But like, for instance, you know, for example, where I was at, that you see way over here, you know, this is a giant mall. You obviously see how far away I am. I'm at, you know, 1,200 feet again, and 300 foot up, and that's 300 foot from, you know, the parking garage, not including, you know, the probably, I don't know how tall it is. It's like 2 or 3 stories. But so I got a couple cool shots right here. I'll put them in at the end of the edit. At the end of this video, I'll edit them in if I remember, which I should. And then, so this is pretty much where it all went bad. So I got my few shots. I had no signal problems. As you can see on the controller, it looks like the little Wi-Fi thing towards the top right next to the battery. 5 bars or 4 bars, whatever it is. So I had, according to the controller, full signal. Still at 28% battery, which it's not good, but in my eyes, like at the time, I'm like, that's not dead. I mean, I still got almost 30%. So then you can see right here, like I had the stick all the way forward, and you see, you know, the camera jerking again. I had the right stick all the way forward. I was not going down or anything on the left stick. And all it's doing right here is it's just dropping at almost 5 miles an hour, which is really quick.
Fuck me.
So this is the point where I'm like, holy shit, something's wrong. And if you look down, you can see I'm over a road. I thought I was directly over the road, which I did not mean to go there. I meant to go farther back. So I started shitting myself. And then I realized, obviously, that I wasn't over the road, but I didn't know what was right below me. So at this point, I'm running to the car. And I got to go around, go down the ramp. And normally you would go to the left and go all the way around, because there's like cones that block you from leaving on this side, but I squeezed my car right through the cones. I didn't hit anything. I squeezed them right through the cones, flew down there, and so I obviously kept losing signal on the controller, but I was in the car. I knew that. I was just praying. I thought at this point it was going to be in a tree or hit a power line. Truthfully, I thought it was going to be in the road, and I'm like, if that thing landed in the road, somebody's going to hit it, and I'm going to be pissed. Like, thankfully, I've got the DJI Care where as long as I can physically grab the drone, no matter what happens to it, I can get it replaced. It's like $40, and I can do that like twice. So that's worth every penny. But I thought that's what was going to happen. And then with this quarantine stuff going on, in the way, you know, people are shipping stuff really slow, understandably, because, you know, priority shipping for, you know, things that, you know, are a necessity. I was like, I'm going to be without my drone for probably 3 months, you know, until this stuff passes over. So I was freaking out. But then, yeah, so my car, you can see it. I'm like along the entrance here by one of those trees. And it was just hovering. Like, thank God it just started hovering. So I think it just got super windy out of nowhere. Especially like being up that high. I think the wind just started kicking in. And it was like, yo, I can't do this. So it started dropping and it couldn't go forward anymore. But so I'm outside of my car right here, and I'm trying to fly it towards me, and I stupidly put it in sport mode, which, you know, just makes the battery die that much quicker. But then again, like, it was windy out here, but I've flown through all this stuff. I've flown in way worse wind just fine. And again, right here, it stops coming forward and it just starts dropping. Truthfully, to me, maybe I'm crazy, but I don't feel like it should have did that. I think it should have still been able to come towards me. And then, luckily I ended up catching it right here. I was standing literally right out in the open, right in the entrance. Luckily the mall was closed. Otherwise, you know, that would have been holding up cars. But, yeah, so I caught it. It's all good. Thank God. It really sucked. I'm not gonna lie. It did freak me out. I'm not going to blame the drone. I'm really not. But what I will say is I learned my lesson. I will never fly far away from me with that low of a battery again. Because I think what had happened was the battery was low enough to where when the battery gets lower like that, the voltage is going to drop. Okay, so I don't know what the voltage is. I'm just throwing out a random number here. Say that battery's 5 volts when it's fully charged, you know, and it's 100%. When that thing's down at 20% or even 30%, it's not 5 volts anymore. It's, you know, it might be down to 3 to 3.5 volts or something like that. And at 3.5 volts, those motors aren't going to spin as quick as they can at 5 volts, if that makes sense. So even though the drone is fully flyable, it's not at the capacity as when the battery's fully charged. So I think that's what ended up happening. The wind did pick up at the end there, but like I said, I've flown in way worse wind and I've been fine. it might have been it might have been interference in the air, like really, you know, messing with the drone. I don't know, but it was literally like the scariest time out of my every time flying. Like out of anything I've done that was sketchy, or you know, I was like, oh shoot, I shouldn't have done that or something. Any mistakes I've made flying it, this was by far the worst. I've actually only flown it one time since then. This was about a week ago, maybe. Well, actually, I'm not even gonna say that because the weather's just been garbage. But yeah, so it's sketchy, you know. Just and these DJI drones, like they're GPS drones, so essentially they're foolproof. Like it's not a drone where you constantly have to give it input on what to do. You know, like if you want it to float, you got to hold it there. You know, this is a drone where you put it up in the air and then it stays there. You know, you push forward, it goes forward. You push back, it goes back. You push forward, then stop, it's going to go forward, then it's going to stop and just hover there. You know, when there's wind, it'll automatically fight the wind to try to hover in place. So they're really great products. I love them. I'm not sponsored by them or anything, although I'd love to be if you're watching. It just wanted to post it out there, you know, so this video's out there, you know, everyone can learn from their mistakes. I definitely did, so maybe somebody else, if this saves one person from, you know, almost losing their drone or something, you know, that makes me happy. So all right, guys, I appreciate you watching. I'm sure I'll get some hate comments or something, but hey, let them roll. I deserve it. I was stupid. I should have, like I said when I said it, I should have landed it right there, swapped the battery out, and then did that flight. It would have probably been okay, but I didn't. It is what it is. Everything was safe. Nobody was hurt. Drone wasn't hurt. So that's a win for me. Have a good one, guys.